working on my energy. Cleaning up, I'm taking care of myself and me. Drinking coffee, take a sip, they say I'm sparkling. Manifest it, write it down, you know it's happening.
What up, beauty gang? Long time no talk. As you guys can tell by the title, a lot of life things have just been transpiring in my life as of recently, and I just felt the need to come on here and share with you guys kind of what I've been going through lately, what I've been experiencing, lessons that I've learned in such a short period of time, just a lot. As a lot of you guys know, I like to come on here and be as honest and real and transparent as possible, because I am well aware that a lot of us are going through the same different aspects and stages of womanhood and adulthood and all of it together. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to do this video or share this part of my life because it's so personal. But I also feel like in some way, shape, or form, this video can help someone out there. So I don't want to do a whole big introduction or anything like that. I kind of just want to hop into the video. So as a lot of you guys know, with my late night binge sessions, I like to put on a face mask. So today I actually recently stumbled across this black owned brand called Salt XO, and they have a Hydra mask. This is what it looks like. It says skin brightening mask. Don't think of it like a skin bleaching type of thing. It's like for hyperpigmentation, dark spots, etc. And I've been using it lately, and I've been liking what it's doing for my skin. So yeah. So anyway, where to start with this situation? So February 15th of this year, I had my very first doctor's appointment since college, for sure. It's been almost like 5-6 years, maybe more, since having a thorough doctor's appointment. Kind of just trying to like give you guys background story on this entire situation, because it's nuts. But basically, Bay and I made a decision at the end of last year to make our health more of a priority, take it more seriously, get on the right insurance, stuff like that. As a lot of you guys know, we are getting married this year. Also, both stepped into our late 20s this year. Well, I stepped into my late 20s last year, but you get what I'm trying to say? So just overall, we were like, let's make sure our health is intact. Yeah, we feel good for the most part, but it's just important. Not seeing the doctor for like half a decade is not okay. So anyway, my mom helped me out and scheduled a doctor's appointment for me for February 15th. It was literally supposed to just be an overall checkup, like a health checkup. I wasn't really going in there for anything specific. I wasn't feeling like anything was wrong or, any complications, issues, nothing. It was just a matter of like, okay, I haven't been to the doctor in like 5 years, so it's time, especially as a woman in my late 20s. To start out, when I got to the appointment, because it was so like supposed to just be a regular checkup, I went to the appointment by myself. They had me kind of do the basics of family history, writing that out. Do I have any concerns with family history, like diabetes run in my family? Like my dad had sickle cell anemia. I don't know how many of you guys know that. So I have the sickle cell trait. And just stuff like that, just touching on all those aspects. Also, this is gonna be a bit TMI too, by the way, y'all, because we're talking about health and stuff like that. But, ooh, shoot, a little too much by my eye. Did not want that to mess up. What was I gonna say? Fast forward, I get in the doctor's office. I have two really nice female doctors. They run some tests on me, check out my heart, my breathing, my blood pressure, stuff like that. And then I'm not sure, oh gosh, I put too much on somewhere because my eye keeps on getting this cream. I don't want it to get in my eye. For my lips, I'm gonna put on this brown sugar lip polish from Fresh. Ooh, it really is like a lip scrub. Oh, I actually like how that feels. So, get in the doctor's office. I have two female doctors running through a whole bunch of questions. They also were asking me, like, in terms of my relationship, they ask about sexual partners and all of those kind of like intrusive questions, but in the sense like that's what you go to the doctor's office for. Like that's their job, to ask you those intimate questions to make sure that you're good. Anyway, fast forward, I don't know how the conversation came up, but I remember reading somewhere like at 21, you're supposed to have your first pap smear. Like I said, I haven't been to the doctor in so long, especially not like a thorough appointment. So I knew for sure at 21, I haven't seen the doctor in that way since I think almost 18. I couldn't even remember. I think I had a pap smear like a senior in high school, and that was around like 18, 19. But at 21, I hadn't had one or anything like that. That came up in conversation with them, and I was like, this is just water and lime water I got going on. But I had brought it up. I was like, yeah, I haven't had a pap smear in a while. Oh, because I think she had asked, like, do I have, not any concerns, but anything that else that I want them to, like, do or whatever. I was like, yeah, I read that I was supposed to have a pap smear around 21, and I hadn't had it yet. I'm now 27. So they were trying to, like, make sure if they were to do a pap smear for me that day that no, it wouldn't collide with another appointment, which thankfully it didn't. So we all agreed to knock out a pap smear that day. It wasn't on the agenda to do at all, but we had enough time, so I was like, why not? Let's just get it done. So they leave the room, you know, strip down from the bottom up, come back in, start taking a look. It was just one of them that came back in the room to do it. It was interesting, to say the least, the beginning part of it. I'm really trying to take myself back to that day because it was a bit surreal, I guess. It became surreal actually because it was taking her a while to like give feedback and like whatever. About 5 to 10 minutes in, she was like, you know, I'm gonna go get a second opinion. It's nothing to like really worry about. I just want to make sure, like, because I'm not seeing basically my cervix. So she went out, another doctor came in to take a look down there, another female doctor. Looked down there for a while, another 5 minutes passes by, then they say, you know what, we want a third opinion. We're gonna get basically like, I guess a veteran doctor that was at the facility. How long was this process? At least 30, 35, maybe 40 minutes of multiple people coming in and stuff like that. They were kind of trying to keep me calm. They weren't telling me what they were seeing or like what the issue was. But after she said she wanted to get a second opinion of somebody else, I was already like, that's a little odd. The third opinion, I was like, okay, what's up? After all three of them gave it a look, they were like, okay, we'll come back in and talk with you once you put on your clothes. Basically, they come back in and I actually have a picture of what they were kind of like explaining to me what they saw. So they were basically saying that they saw overgrown cells around my cervix. I don't know if it was around or in front of, something to that extent. And she actually drew a picture, which I'll insert right here. The picture with all kind of like the red situation going on is what they said my area down there inside my, you know, my lady part looked like. So they were like overgrown cells is the way they described it. Whereas the picture next to it, they were saying that's what kind of like an average cervix area like it's supposed to look like. That X in the middle is supposed to be the whole, like, and that's what they were trying to like test for the pap smear. Essentially, they could not find my hole to like use that long cotton swab to like swab in there and actually do a thorough pap smear. So with the overgrown cells, they were hinting basically at the fact that it could be cervical cancer. When those words were said, I can almost like go back to like those feelings and emotions that I was feeling when that, because again, y'all, this was just gonna be a regular checkup. A pap smear wasn't even supposed to happen at all. And next thing I know, I got 3 women doctors all coming in to see what's going on with me down there, and then leave out the room, come back in. And like when they come back in, by the way, they look concerned. The doctor ends up saying like, we have concerns that it might be something like that. And that's just not, I don't know. I guess it's one of those things where you don't think it can happen to you until it happens to you. Never in 1,000 years would it have crossed my mind that doctors would potentially, they didn't diagnose me right there, but it just, because it looked so abnormal and unusual, that was like the assumption. So a wave of emotions quickly, like, because when you hear the word cancer, it's not anything pleasant that comes to mind from it, right? So as she's explaining things more and more to me, the next step was usually I guess they usually like to wait for the pap smear results to come back before doing a next procedure, which actually was on the screenshot that I showed you guys. It was called a colposcopy with biopsy. That is what they scheduled for me to come back for. So this appointment that I'm talking about was February 15th. February 18th, they scheduled for me to come back, and they didn't even want to wait for the pap smear results, because pap smear results usually take about a week to come in. They were so concerned, they didn't even want to wait a week. They wanted to hop on it immediately, which I appreciated, but it was also even more terrifying because it's like, what is happening? Like, it's almost like my life, it's not like it flashed before me, but it's more so like, it's just a very overwhelming wave of emotions that take place. So they didn't even want to wait for the results of the pap smear because they were so concerned. So they were like, we're going to have you come back in 3 days so we can get this colposcopy with biopsy, which is basically a whole nother procedure, which I'll get into a little bit more detail with. But at this point now, I'm starting to like tear up and cry. At first I was trying to hold it back a little bit, but then I'm like, I am human and I cannot believe that I am hearing this like about myself right now. Like, what is life? What is going on? Stuff like that. So by this time too, because what time? My doctor's appointment was kind of early, maybe 10. And I didn't finish there until like 12:30. I didn't make it back home until about 12:30. And that day my mom was coming out this way to cook for us and stuff like that. So she had called me while I was in the office, and I told her I'll call her back. And then I've been gone for like 2.5 hours, which again, it was supposed to be a regular doctor's appointment. So Josh ended up calling me too. He could hear my voice that I wasn't okay, but I didn't want to tell him over the phone. So I was like, I'm about to be home soon, like I'll let you know. And I said the same thing to my mom. That drive back home was extremely emotional, and like, again, just that wave of emotions of like, what? So get back home, tell Josh and my mom what happened, what transpired, what the doctor said, what the test they did, all of that information. And it was a lot, y'all. I guess I should mention too, like, a lot of my friends and family don't even know about this. That's also why I wasn't sure if I was gonna do this video. But I feel like it's important to share this aspect of life, especially for us women, and our health is so important to stay on top of it. And in a lot of ways, this has just been a huge reality check for me. But anyway, so yeah, that day was just a lot, and Google does not help at all. So of course, hop on Google, Googling symptoms, because that was the thing too. When I was at the doctor's office and I was asking her, would there be any signs and symptoms to tell me that I could have cervical cancer? Like, because I feel fine, I don't blah blah blah. She was like, no, not really. It's not like any symptoms that are like gonna hit you dead in the face. It might be small things that you might ignore just because you're like, oh, my body is doing whatever it wants to do this month or something like that. But anyway, yeah, went to Google. Wasn't the best idea. Things got more and more terrifying. And I also have a close loved one who had cervical cancer when she was younger and was not able to have kids. So also keep that in mind as all of this is, I'm getting this information and trying to digest it, the concerns and the worry and the how, like the terrified feelings that I was having was just a lot. What I will say also is I don't touch a lot on spirituality and religion and stuff like that on my channel, but I am definitely a woman of God. I believe in God. So of course, getting back home with Josh and my mom, immediately went into prayer. And it's interesting too, because I think a couple weeks prior, just this year in general, I kind of set the tone this year with myself and my personal relationship with God, that I wanted to form a deeper connection and relationship. And it's just interesting. God works in a lot of mysterious ways, because in this very moment, I had no choice but to rely on God and my faith that He would see me through this situation. So that day of the pap smear, it was going to take a week to get those results. And I'm trying to think, was there anything else I wanted to touch on in terms of that? Not necessarily having to do with the actual like health situation, but I will definitely say this situation also opened my eyes more than ever to the fact that Josh is 1000% my soulmate and the man that I am meant to be with, because the amount of care and I don't even know if I have the right words to describe how he immediately snapped into basically husband mode, like holding me down, just somebody to hold you down, hold you literally as you're crying, be strong for you, constantly reassure and reaffirm you, I'm gonna be here every step of the way, no matter what. That, because me and him, we've been together for 7 years, started dating sophomores in college, so I feel like this situation kind of like, honestly, this year, a few things have transpired, but this is one of the bigger things of like, this is some real life adult shit that we are now dealing with. Not to say like all the years prior to our relationship were like kitty or whatever, but again, this is like some real life based off vows type of thing, for better or for worse, and sickness and in health. That's the man that I'm supposed to be with. I'll just say that. Again, all the concerns and fear about what is my life gonna look like if it does come back that I have cervical cancer. And also, too, keep in mind, I was in the middle of like brand deals that I had to get done that were due regardless of what I was present day going through or in that moment going. It was so much, y'all. It was so much. So basically that day was just a lot of kind of like, what did I say, wallowing? I feel like wallowing is downplaying. I feel like I had the right to be scared. I don't know if wallow is the right word, but like a lot of tears, a lot of heaviness. Mom was doing a whole bunch of research and trying to figure out what health changes I need to make, whether it be dietary or whatever. Also looking up that, oh, by the way, this is something that can happen in a lot of young women, and it can be contracted through HPV. I forgot to even mention that in the first place. HPV can lead to cervical cancer. If you have HPV, it doesn't mean you're for sure gonna have cervical cancer or get cervical cancer, but it is just something that can lead to it. And that is also something else, by the way, that they tested me for. They tested me for HPV, they tested me for STDs and stuff like that, regardless of the fact that I told them I've only been with one person for the last 7 years. We've only been with each other. They just wanted to make sure they were thoroughly checking out everything. I know I'm kind of jumping everywhere with this story, y'all, because it's a lot to digest and kind of to take my mind back to those like fresh moments in the beginning. But only a select few people knew, other than Josh and my mom. I had to let my manager know because I needed her to basically pause everything that business-wise, work-related that I had going on. And why do I feel like I'm about to get emotional? And it's not a bad emotional type of thing. It's more so my manager, when I let her know, she prayed over me on the phone with me. And I think I'm getting emotional because that's not something, that's not really, especially because our relationship started via business, right? But my whole career, I wanted management, but I always wanted the right person for me. Time and time again, my manager has proven, and God has proven, that this is the right direction, the right person that I'm supposed to have in my life right now. And the fact that immediately she just prayed over me and reassured me that I was gonna be okay, and all of that, like that's why I think I'm getting a little bit emotional, because it's so interesting how God works. I feel like this last year or less, to be honest, he has put so many beautiful people in certain places in my life that I needed. And I feel like even this situation is kind of a perfect example, because that's not, again, very common for a manager to like want to pray for you and over you and reassure you like that you are going to be okay. I am here for you every step of the way if you need me. That type of relationship with a manager is not very common, and I'm so grateful for mine, because you need those type of people. When you get news like that, you need those type of people that are going to be there to hold you up and reassure you like you are going to be okay, it's going to be good, I got you no matter what. I had all those people, the people that knew, again, it wasn't a lot, but the people that did know were those people for me. Because you don't need people around you that are pessimistic, Debbie Downers, whatever, you know? So I'm forever grateful for my manager for that. And then actually, I don't know if it was that day, no, it was that week, I also had to let my wedding planner know, because we were supposed to have our first design meeting for our wedding venue, I think that week, if not, I think the next day. And she also reassured me, you're gonna be okay, it's gonna be, I got you, etc. I'm so grateful for the people that I have in my life. So that happened. I think those were the only two people, other than my best friend, those were the only two people I had to tell. And then my mom, Josh, and my best friend knew. Other than that, nobody else knew what was going on. Next day though, one thing that I really appreciate about Josh as a partner, and as well as me, I gotta give myself a little bit of like kudos too, just in the sense where I was already, next day, it was kind of like we took that day to mourn the potential of what could be the next steps that we have to go through in life. Next day, got up early, worked out, like basically like already on a vibe, I'm gonna fight back. If it is that case, if it is gonna be those results that I do have to battle with cervical cancer, like I'm already gonna fight back and get strong and stuff like that. As a lot of you guys know, I have been on my fitness, I don't wanna call it a journey, but like my lifestyle has changed substantially. And that was the crazy thing too to wrap my head around. I'm like, I'm eating better, I'm working out, I feel healthy, I feel stronger than I've ever been. Like, how is this the case? Anyway, got up the next morning, Josh and I worked out, we went to the lakefront, I think we ate like lunch over there and just talked, sat and talked. And it's crazy because one of the, I'm not about to break down on YouTube like that, but one of the things that obviously kept coming in my head is like, if I'm not even gonna have kids, because this man is so great with kids. He's gonna be an amazing father, which is also a huge reason as to why I'm so excited and looking forward to spending the rest of my life with him, because that's going to be the father of my children, and they are going to be some of the luckiest kids in this world to have a dad like him. So getting this news, I'm like, if I'm not, because again, I was thinking of other women and like the loved one that I know on a personal level who had cervical cancer and was not able to have kids, all that stuff started swarming in my head. It was that. And I didn't want him to miss out on the opportunity to be a dad if I wasn't able to, if I wasn't able to have our kids. And I know there's other options and stuff, but you guys get what I'm saying. In our head, we're gonna have our own biological children. And he wasn't trying to hear any of it. He was like, I don't need kids, I need you. We can make anything else work. Whether that's adoption, and the fact that we were even having those conversations felt so surreal, but it also was, it was real conversations that basically needed to be had, because like I said, this is like some of the first real adult, like nitty gritty marriage shit that we had to deal with and overcome together. And that was the key, it was together. He all like, I'm so blessed to have a partner like him. I can't really remember what really transpired after that day. Kind of went back, basically, I believe, though, to like regular scheduled program, in the sense where like, until we get the results back, I was working out and living a relatively healthy lifestyle and fine prior to the doctor's appointment. So can't let this completely knock me down, knock me off my rocker, and like my whole life pauses. So I think by the next day, and the day after that, kind of trying to start getting back in the swing of things, keep my mind preoccupied. So I was kind of trying to get back to work, back to posting a little bit again, but not sharing anything online whatsoever that I was going through that at the time. And then 18th comes around, that's when it's time for the colposcopy with biopsy. Both Josh and my mom went to that appointment with me, but only my mom could come back there with me. And that was basically going to be the procedure that tells us if I for sure have something going on or not. So went into the doctor's office, same doctor's office, but it was a new doctor's. They ran me through what the procedure was going to be like and stuff like that. And I actually do have a video of the procedure. so to speak, but YouTube will demonetize me, and I'm not trying to like expose myself in that way. But it's very invasive and intrusive. Anybody who's experienced a pap smear in the first place, like, it's like that, but the tools are a little bit more rougher. I don't know how to explain it. A little bit more surgical, if that makes sense. Legs and stirrups and all. And basically the biopsies, they like basically take little chunks out of the overgrown cells area in my cervix to test all those areas. So they had to have taken at least, I want to say, because they had me like cough when they would like pinch it. Think of like a hole puncher, but down there. Basically did like 8 to 10 hole punches around my cervix area on those overgrown cells and stuff like that, and send it to a lab to test all of them to see if anything comes back. And I want to say maybe the day after the biopsy, the original doctor that I had the very first day of the appointment called back, let me know the pap smear came back negative, which is a good sign. Didn't mean we were completely out the woods, but it was a good sign that it came back negative. The biopsy was going to take, I think, a week and a half. It was supposed to take a week and a half to come back with the results. Again, this is one of those things, the waiting period is solely relying on my faith in God that He got me. So the biopsy, colposcopy with biopsy happened on, excuse me, happened on the 18th. Let me look at my calendar really quick because I want to be very specific about this. Happened on the 18th, which was a Friday. By Saturday or Sunday, I also was pushing 900K on YouTube, and I knew that I was going to either hit it that Monday or that Tuesday. I actually hit it that Tuesday, and I posted on social media. I like recorded my live experience of seeing myself hit 900K, and that was like an amazing feeling and milestone and stuff. Again, this is still like walking by faith until the results come back type energy. But it was something that deserved to be celebrated. You know, I still had to keep living my life. And this is what I mean to by God works in mysterious ways. So February 22nd, 2022 is when I hit 900K. That was like, what, in the morning, afternoon, early afternoon, I hit 900K. That evening, because me and Josh were about to go out to eat, or was it get drinks, one or the other, to celebrate. That evening, right when we're about to go out, the doctor who took my colposcopy with biopsies called with the results, came back way sooner than anticipated. She said everything came back negative. And I told you guys, they like took hole punches from multiple parts. And there was one part in particular too that she wanted to take a couple more, like maybe 3 or 4 in that section, because she was saying it was a little bit firmer down there than what is normal. So all of it came back benign, negative, all of it, y'all. All of it. All the tests that I got that day came back negative, in the clear, completely healthy. That was that night, the same day that I hit 900K. And also, for those who might not have put it together yet, 2/22/22, February 22nd, 2022, all this transpired. I happened to Google, because like, I don't know how much I really believe in angel numbers like that, but sometimes I'm intrigued to know, like, what could this number possibly mean type energy. And there was one thing that came up that like immediately clicked for me and like gave me just this wave of emotions that day, that evening, especially after the call. And it was saying specifically, well, I can put it over here. Specifically, number 22222 is saying that you have been through a lot, but you never crumbled. Now is the moment all of your suffering will come to pass. That is, blessings and rewards will be coming your way in the near future. It also says number 22222 is also a reminder that good things only come to those who continue to think positively. Now, you can take it for what you want to take it as, but I took that to heart immediately, and I broke down in happiness, because it was one of those things where I had to stand and walk on my faith. I feel like that this whole experience has strengthened my relationship with God and my belief and my faith in the fact that He has me. And it's crazy because a week prior to that, I basically felt like my world was crumbling around me. Like I didn't know what my life was going to be. And then again, God works in mysterious ways. Literally a week later. Was that exactly a week from? Wait, it is. My appointment was the 15th. That's exactly a week before the 22nd. So in exactly 1 week, my life did like this, I don't know if it was a 360, 180, whatever you want to call it, but I just felt like it was important to do this type of video and share all of this because it's honestly my testimony. I'm not someone who really touches much on my spirituality and shares that aspect of my life, but this is my testimony, and it's a life lesson that I hear loud from God. I feel like that I definitely hear loud and clear. It's something that I will no longer neglect. There's no reason that there's so many lessons in this situation that I feel like I have learned from in that short period of time. One of the biggest ones, and it's definitely time for me to wipe this mask off, but one of the biggest ones being to take my health more seriously, have more frequent doctor's appointments. Even if I don't think anything is wrong, and thank God I ended up in the clear, completely healthy 27-year-old. But what if I wasn't? What if it did turn out to be what they thought it was? It's mind-blowing, honestly. I'm so grateful and thankful for, honestly, this lesson. I know that it needed to be done because I shouldn't have been a 27-year-old who hadn't been to the doctor in like, for sure, over half a decade. That's not okay. And I think that's also why I wanted to do this video. If you are someone who has not been to the doctor in a while and just gotten yourself checked up on, I hope that this is a motivating factor for you to make sure that you go make sure you're good. Regardless of how healthy and how young and how youthful you are and you feel, it's important. I ended up having a conversation with my loved one who had cervical cancer. She had the surgery, so she no longer has it. However, she wasn't able to have kids anymore. And I had a long conversation with her, and it was interesting because a lot of the things that she was experiencing, she ignored a lot of those small signs that Google might say are symptoms that you can just easily write off like, oh, this will go away eventually, or it's not really a big deal. She had wrote it off so long, it had got so bad that there was no kind of saving her, I believe it was her ovaries. I hope I'm not miswording that. The stages and levels there are to cancer. She was at like the worst stage it could be at by the time the doctors got a hold of her to let her know, like, you need to come in, we need to handle this situation. So as I'm editing this, I actually forgot to mention that there are levels. Well, as I previously just stated, there's levels to this. So if you were to have cervical cancer, depending on when it's caught, your uterus or your capabilities of still carrying a child is still possible, again, depending on the level. So unfortunately, my loved one, they caught it too late, whereas my manager told me of a friend of hers who had the surgery, and she was able to still carry children. So again, I just want to make sure I inserted that because I don't want it to come off like an end-all be-all type of situation. But yeah, I just want to clarify that. So back to the video. I just hope that this video serves its purpose in the sense where I know that I have, again, a lot of peers, a lot of younger women, a lot of older women that follow me. And I feel like it's kind of a part of my duty in a way to share with you guys these different life experiences that I have, especially when it comes to something like this. Health is just something that's so easy to overlook, not pay attention to. And again, the 20s is a really, really weird and interesting phase because you're still young, but you're not a teenager anymore. And the transition of realizing that both mentally, physically, emotionally, all of that, like, it's interesting. It's an interesting concept to grasp. That's the best way I feel like I can put it. 6 years ago, I was 21 and in college as a full-time student athlete, but I'm not that anymore. I am in my late 20s and 3 years from 30. That's a completely different EC than I was back then, and therefore, because I have evolved and I'm getting older and stuff like that, it's important to make sure that I am on top of those type of things. And it's honestly just important for me to be more aware and alert on my health. I thank God that he brought me through that situation and completely, I don't know, y'all. I almost feel like you guys had to be there in that doctor's office to see these doctors' faces. They really had me leave, and I'm not putting blame on them, but the concern on their face and stuff, that they really had me leave thinking that I had it. That felt like the diagnosis right there, even before we got the results back, because of how concerned they were, because they're like, we don't even want to wait for the pap smear results, we just want you to come back so we can get on top of this immediately. It was a lot for all the results to come back negative and for me to be okay. Can't nobody tell me God ain't real. That's it. That's where I'm at. Nobody could prior, but do you know what I'm trying to say? It's just a miracle. And I feel like too, like I said earlier this year, I wanted a closer relationship with God. That doesn't mean that I got to pick and choose exactly how that was supposed to be proven to me to an extent. And in my head, I feel like it was almost like he tested me a bit. He tested my faith, how much of a relationship or how serious are you about this relationship that you want type stuff. And again, in those moments for that week, I had nothing to rely on but my faith. And again, I just feel like it brought me a closer and better understanding of what a relationship with God looks like for me. Now. Oh, I'm moisturizing with the Fresh Vitamin Nectar Moisture Glow Face Cream. This is what it looks like. And I actually mix it with this fresh sea berry moisturizing face oil. And in focus right there. Do a couple little drops. But yeah, y'all. My 2022 off to a very, very wild start. I feel like that's the best way. I don't even know the right word to exactly, but I am definitely slowly but surely noticing my lenses, my frame of mind in life is evolving and changing in a way that it never was prior. EC at 21, EC at 25, and now EC at 27. The 20s has been a ride. It's been a ride. I'm learning so much about myself, and I'm learning so much about life in general and love, what real love is. Like I said, now more than ever, if there was ever a shadow of a doubt about Josh, it is no longer there. And not to say I even had a shadow of a doubt prior, but you know what I mean? It's that real, deep, raw, who is gonna be there for you in your times, your lows. Because life is not going to always be this elevated high and this great, I don't want to say great experience, but you know what I'm trying to say? To know that I have a partner that will be there for me through it all. Reassure and validate and affirm, I got you. That's as pure as love can get, in my opinion. And like I said, our relationship prior to a situation like this happening, 1000% love was there and stuff, but that love that'll stand the test of time, although I feel like we already had that established and stuff. You can say that you feel that way or think, oh, we're gonna be good, but until moments like these take place and you see the actions that go along with this type of life shit, you have really nothing to kind of base it off of other than assumption and hope. But in this type of circumstance, it's I don't need assumption or hope anymore. I know that this is my person. 1000%. So it's been incredible. It's been an incredible revelation. It's been an incredible revelation. I know I said a mouthful, but that for the most part is all I have for you guys. I wanted to touch on that because it was something, I don't know, something was sitting on my heart as I was debating back and forth. Should I share this? Should I not? Should I keep this to myself? I just feel like it was important for me to share my story and my experience. Thank God it didn't turn out to be what we thought originally it was going to be, but nonetheless, it was still a life lesson that I thought was important to share with you guys. Again, for those who might not have checked up on their health recently or ignore little symptoms and signs and stuff, it's important to pay attention, especially as we're getting older. So I will no longer be playing about my health at all, because honestly, I was playing with my health, naively optimistic that unless I like pass out or drop dead almost, I'm good. And that's not how it goes. Even when it comes to taking vitamins, probiotics and stuff, that wasn't something that I really have been into at all for the honestly, since I've kind of touched in my 20s. My mom's like, are you taking your vitamins, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't need vitamins, I'm good, girl. But I am getting older. Like, I do need vitamins, I do need probiotics, I do need vitamin B, C, D. And honestly, it's something that I have to start educating myself on, because this is a phase of life I've never been in before. So yeah, I just felt the need to disclose what's been going on in my life in that sense with you guys, because you know, we're all growing, we're all getting older, and I have always prided myself in being super real and super transparent with things that are going on in my life as I am going through the motions of things. So I hope that this video was helpful or insightful or something for someone. I know I've been doing a lot of self-care and hygiene videos, and extrinsically as well as externally, those are good things in a way to take care of ourselves and make us look good and feel good and stuff. But that internal stuff is just, if not more, important. So I was like, there's no way that I can be doing content like this about, you know, self-improvement and self-care and et cetera, and not touch on self. So that was my health scare, y'all. My very first ever health scare that scared the hell out of me, for sure. I'm good now. Again, all the results, HPV, STDs, pap smear, biopsies, everything came back negative or benign. So like, quite a testimony for sure. But yeah, y'all, that is all I have for you guys. I don't want this video to be like a damper or to scare any of you guys in that sense. I just hope that it kind of possibly wakes some of you guys up if you have been neglecting yourself, your health, because it's important. This is the only life, the only bodies that we get to have in this life. So please take care of yourself, please stay alert, and make sure that you are loving on you, both internally and externally. But yeah, y'all, that's all I have for you guys. So until next time, bye. Working on my